Good morning. Welcome to Composition 10. Today is going to be our last, final lesson of the school year. Before we jump in, I do have a couple announcements for you. So today's lesson will be the final assignment of the semester. It's bittersweet. It's crazy how fast things have gone. I will post grades for all remote learning assignments by Monday, and I will be accepting late work until Tuesday. If you do turn in late work, you need to email me to let me know that an assignment has been turned in so I can make sure that grid gets updated for you. And if you have any questions, stop by office hours. With that in mind, let's jump into today's lesson. Today, we're going to continue identifying and analyzing the rhetorical devices that Obama uses in his speech, The Audacity of Hope. We will be doing we'll be working in a document. Today, we are going to continue identifying and analyzing rhetorical devices used in Obama's speech, The Audacity of Hope. We're going to be using the 6.9 document today. This document is going to look at part 3 of the speech, which is paragraphs 16 to 24. In that document, you're going to be annotating for 3 specific rhetorical devices. You will also have an exit slip that you need. So at this point, you should be very familiar with Obama's speech, The Audacity for Hope. You know that his overall expressed purpose of the speech was to endorse John Kerry for president back in 2004. However, his secondary purpose was to introduce himself to the Democratic Party in hopes of giving himself a long-term career boost. Obviously, he didn't get what he was looking for with his first goal. John Kerry was not elected president that year. But his secondary purpose obviously was pretty successful as he became president just 4 years after the speech. As we're reading each little portion of the speech, your goal is to figure out what is Obama's mini purpose in each section. In part 1, his mini purpose was to introduce himself while embracing the United States as a country of opportunity for all. In part 2, after he celebrated the United States as a land of opportunity, Obama identified problems that still exist and argued that John Kerry and the Democratic Party's vision is what the country needs. Now, today's assignment is going to be to figure out what is Obama doing in part 3 of this speech. The rhetorical device scavenger hunt checklist looks very similar to parts 1 and 2 of this speech. In fact, there are no new rhetorical devices to be looking for here today. But you do have the opportunity to find allusion, diction, juxtaposition, metaphor, preemptive defense, repetition, restatement, and the rule of 3. Quick note on the rule of 3. Well, remember the rule of 3, which we learned about last class, is when you organize and present topics, words, or phrases in groups of 3. Here's an example from last assignment. We'll see it very early on in the first phrase, actually. It says, and fellow Americans, Democrats, Republicans, and Independents. He's talking to all Americans, but he uses an aside here to say that he's not only talking to Americans, but he's specifically talking to Democrats, Republicans, and Independents. He's using the rule of 3 here to really emphasize his address is for all Americans, whether a Democrat, Republican, or someone who falls in between. In this paragraph, there is another example of the rule of 3. If you want to, go ahead and pause now and see if you can find the second use of the rule of 3 in this paragraph. The second use of the rule of 3 is seen as he talks about how we have more work to do. In order to show that he has more work to do, he names 3 different specific examples. We have more work to do for the workers I met in Galesburg, Illinois. We have more work to do for the father I met who was losing his job and choking back tears. We have more work to do for the young woman in St. Louis, and thousands more like her, who has the grades, has the drive, has the will, and doesn't have the money to go to college. And so in this one paragraph, 2 uses of the rule of 3, Obama uses the rule of 3 because it is a compelling pattern to use while speaking. When we open today's document, 6.9, it looks very similar to the last 2 documents you've seen. Our criteria for success, you need to identify 3 rhetorical devices. That's highlight and comment on the text on this 3rd page. So highlight the rhetorical device, comment how it's being used. And your comment needs to define the rhetorical device, explain how it's being used, and analyze its intended impact on the audience. Your only written response question today is to name what is the main idea that Obama is trying to communicate in this 3rd portion of the speech. Remember, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, stop by office hours. I'll post a link for that again in our Google Classroom. But it's been a true pleasure teaching you this semester, and I hope that you have a great day.